Hi, it's Jan. It's August 3rd, 2021. Welcome to my vlog. It's been a very crazy month for me. July was. I had some tragedy in my family because my brother Joe, my oldest brother, went on without me. Um, he passed away on July 15th, early in the morning, and I was glad to spend some time with him. It was a short but um, pressing situation with his heart, and he left us. He gave me so many things when he was alive. He taught me the neat trick of storytelling by telling me ghost stories late at night, staring out at a massive backyard or front yard, pardon me, in East Texas, um, where all kinds of things could happen. And I learned how to use suspense and chills, and just the delight in hearing him tell a story was, I'm sure, influenced me. He also introduced me to music um, at an early age, and continued to be a musician through his lifetime. And I continue to play the piano. My neighbors are very, very nice because I haven't gotten any notes on my door. Although one of my neighbors, Gail Parker, did say, well, that piano playing is getting better at one point. But Joe helped me love music as much as I do. And so there's music and drama. And also, he gave me the gift of sobriety because I haven't had a drink in 35 years. And he was actually one of the people that was very, very instrumental in getting me straightened out. He and my friend Paige Johnson um, sort of helped me decide that I wanted to live life kind of knowing what was going on. Um, he also gave me a amazing niece, Jo Mary Buttram, and an amazing nephews, Robert Thayer Buttram, and Patrick Buttram. Bobby was such a good son. That's Robert. He was such a good son and was with his father throughout his life in such a close relationship. And he gave me good friends that I met over the years, and certainly my condolences are with all his family, especially in Greenbrier Valley Theater, and all of the wonderful friends he made there. He became an actor in his later years and played over 100 performances of Scrooge. So, Joe Beck Buttram, you will be missed terribly by all of us. Right after Joe left us, I attended a wedding with some of my cousins, distant cousins, and close cousins in Weaverville, North Carolina. Megan Moskop and Cam Toller, um, they got married, and what a celebration it was. They had gotten married earlier in New York City, and so the star of their wedding was the sweetest little, I think about a 9-month-old baby, Amari Sky. And there were so many kids there at that wedding, and so much dancing and so much joy. And I think my newest favorite thing is dancing with toddlers. They're just the best. I love dancing with them. They're just so excited, and they'll do anything you do with them. They'll follow along, and so I loved that. Thank you for an amazing wedding, guys. I was traveling with my first cousin, Mary Gilman, um, aka Mary Lemon Gilman, Lemon being her maiden name. She was my Aunt Paula's oldest daughter, and we had a great time sort of reminiscing about all the great experiences we had with our families when we were growing up. We just had the best time. And she's a watercolorist, and I'm going to show you some of her watercolors and also some video that I took of her out on the road. It's quite a feat to film someone outside when they're working with watercolors, but I tried my best. And despite pouring rain and shadows and all kinds of funky, little things that come in the way, we had a great time. We had a wonderful time. Thank you, Mary. Um, she really was so generous to me on this vacation, and I'm so glad she took me with her. We were in the Outer Banks. Um, it's an amazing community and beautiful, beautiful landscapes. We went to visit all the station houses and lighthouses across the Outer Banks. There's quite a few.
And that's the biggest challenge of watercolor, to keep the whites white without messing them up. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. I'm reluctant to use an opaque white. All whites are opaque. Uh, to restore the white when I do mess up, simply because it doesn't look right and I never know where my white tube is. So that's the real reason. I'm trying to put the sky in behind the first order Fresnel lens that's so spectacular. Soften that demarcation between the blue and the yellow, or orange. I wanted to make it orange because blue and orange are complements. Got a little problem with this, but I probably should just leave it alone. When it wants to bloom like that, it's just as well to leave it to its own devices. And sometimes, if I want to take it out, it's better to wait until the paint dries and then do something about it. Well, maybe this will work. We'll see. If it doesn't, it doesn't, because I've already done the painting and it's adequate, but it isn't the direction that I wanted to take. I like to paint more loosely than that, and I painted it inside. I get a lot looser when I'm out of doors than I do when I paint inside. You can just almost tell the difference. But it's hard to take the feeling of the outdoors in with you when you go inside and paint in a studio or a hotel room, as was the case with that. Same yellow I used to mess up the sky with is going to create green grass. I'm using 140-pound watercolor paper, which is a good weight to use because the paint to an extent floats on the surface. If I use the better watercolor paper, which is 300 pounds, I often find that the paint soaks in. I just have dots there because the house is either in shadow or white, and so green would not work here. Pretty sloppy work on the fence, but that'll be okay, because a white fence has shadows on it, and it doesn't look too precise when you really look at it. You know, it does, but that's only you focus there, it looks precise. But if you look at the whole picture, you're not focusing on the fence, nor should you really. It's not the subject. And clearly the scene has more colors than that in it, but I'm not putting a rendering of the scene as a camera would view it, because I'm not a camera. A camera has one eye and no brain. And I am really in awe of those who can manipulate cameras well. I think it's an amazing art form, and it is an art form, but that's not the art form I practice. Again, I don't want to draw a line around the house, and I really don't particularly want the pencil line I've already drawn to show, although I don't care if some of it shows through. When there are contests, and I enter them with limited success, nothing stellar, they will allow you to leave the pencil lines that you put in as a guide. I sketched this with a Papermate felt tip water soluble pen, and it gives a dark value, it gives a black, and if I can be very careful to dissolve all of the sketch lines, it's not obvious what I did. I do this when I'm painting on location or sketching on location, and I want to work very fast. Again, you don't want an arrow pointing to the corner. For the sake of the composition, you don't want to pull the viewer's eye. In the Outer Banks, is the sea oat. I think that's what it's called, sea oat. And that's a plant that stabilizes the dune. The dune and the sea oat have more or less a symbiotic relationship. And so they're very important. We wouldn't have any sand dunes, and the ocean would just wash away and erode the whole bank, the whole outer banks. One of the ways that watercolor is different from some other types of painting, because most of the magic of it is in the unintended and the ability to control some of the happy accidents that can happen. A good watercolorist, I would thoroughly wet down my pigments before I start. It's obvious I didn't do that. I'm always eager to begin. I don't ever want to look like, well, this quarter is this and this quarter is that, and I never want the horizon to be smack dab in the middle, because the viewer's eye rests and it's all done. The viewer has quit looking at the painting. And I like to have the viewer's eye bouncing a bit throughout the painting.
So, isn't she amazing? She doesn't refer to painting as a hobby, because sometimes I get so frustrated with my writing. I think, well, it's just a hobby. And she said, no, no, it's more than a hobby. It's a passion. So I love that. And I love how she studies and thinks and, has so much knowledge about the art of watercoloring. And please subscribe and like. I look forward to talking to you again in September. And I bless you all and thank you so much. Bye.